Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope all is well and welcome to another FPL video. For today I have a wildcard team ready for all of you. As you all probably know, GW5 is quite an popular gimmick when it comes to people using their first wildcard of the season. So after the first international break, usually we get a couple of knocks, couple of injuries from the international games, and players tend to use their wildcard in this gimmick. So that's why for today I'm gonna give you guys a wildcard team that I would go for if I was to wildcard in this gimmick, and hopefully you guys find it helpful creating while you create your own wildcards and all of that. So thanks everyone for watching, I appreciate the support, and let's start with today's video. So we're going to for the creation of this wildcard we are going to start in the midfield actually, because most of the value in this wildcard will be from the midfield. I believe I expect most of the points to come from the midfield players, and that's why we will start with them. So let's go. This is my current team on the screen. This is the team I have. So I'm going to remove Mohamed Salah, and the first player I would look to add on a wild card would be Marcus Rashford, if you don't already have him, of course. So why Marcus Rashford? Well, at the start of the season, Rashford was playing as a striker for Man United because they didn't have any other options in that position, so he had to be the striker in the first two game weeks. And I believe he blanked. Yes, he blanked in both of those games because he's not really a striker. That is not really his best and strongest position to play in. So that's why at the start of the season he wasn't such a good pick to have. But since then, in the last couple of games, Marcus Rashford has went back to his original or best position, which is a left wing player. So he went back to the left wing because Man United now bought and have a different striker to play up front, which is Højlund, who I expect is going to start most of the games for Man United. So for Marcus Rashford, that just means that he's going to play most, if not all, of Man United's games from his original spot, which is left wing, which is a very good thing for him because in that position he is quite well, and I would say there are not that many fullbacks in the Premier League that can defend against him in a against one situation, because he is very fast in those situations. So that's the reason why I think Marcus Rashford will become a very good option in the future, and possibly the best Man United option to have. Plus their fixtures are quite good as well, and this is the first player I would look to add on my wildcard, a player that I am looking to add in my team as well at any point if I decide to downgrade Salah or something like that. So that's the first player. Then Bukayo Saka would be my second player for a wildcard team. Now he is my preferred Arsenal choice still, even though he hasn't had that big holes at the start of the season yet, but he still has provided some decent amount of points. So in the first 4 game weeks he has only blanked in one of these 4, I believe. He got a return in all three others. So I expect Bukayo Saka to continue getting returns in Arsenal's future fixtures as well, mostly because they're still good, the fixtures, and he's such an important player for them. He's probably their most nailed player. I expect him to start every game and play as long as they need him to play, plus he's still on penalties, which is very good. There was this situation in Game 2 where Martin Odegaard took a penalty, so we all thought that Saka might have lost the penalties for Arsenal, but that's not the case. The next one he took it, so that's good. That's definitely a positive. I still think that Bukayo Saka is the best Arsenal option. Martin Odegaard is potentially worth a look as well, but for me, Bukayo Saka should be on your wild card. Another player that I think should be in people's wild card is James Maddison. So another amazing player. He's the talisman of Spurs since joining the club. So all the attacks, he's their main creator, and most of the Spurs attacks go through him. He takes corners, he takes free kicks. He also gets into some very dangerous positions into the opponent's box as well. And I really think he has the potential to just continue getting returns after return every single game. I don't really expect him to have huge hauls, but as long as he keeps getting one goal or one assist per game, it should be good, because he also tends to be a bonus points magnet. A lot of the times he tends to, as soon as he gets returns, he seems to get into the bonus points straight away, so that's another positive for him, and definitely another player that I would look to add in the midfield. Then the fourth midfielder for me would be, let me just try to add him. So the fourth midfielder in my team on a wild card would be Madison's teammate Son Heung-min, and a player definitely that's in form, definitely a player that scored a hat-trick last game against Burnley away. So the important thing to note about Son is the fact that at the moment he seems to be playing as Spurs striker, so Richarlison has been dropped to the bench, at least in the last game, and Son played as a striker instead of in his original position, which seems to be positive for Son, and I expect him to continue to play in this position definitely after the hat-trick. There is no way that their manager is going to bring him back to his original position where he didn't really look that dangerous. He's going to continue to play as a striker, I believe, and okay, fair enough. I don't really expect him to continue to get that big scores like he did against Burnley. So the reason he got a hat-trick against Burnley was because that was a perfect game for him to get a hat-trick in, because Burnley played at home and they were very open. They were trying to play an attacking football in front of their fans, and that just left a whole bunch of space in behind for Spurs players to run in, and a player like Son Heung-min running behind the defenders is the perfect thing for him to do. So I don't really expect him to get that much open space in the next couple of game weeks, but I still think he is a good option. I still think he is possibly the best captaincy option for Game Week 5 as well. That's very important to consider. So if you don't want to captain Haaland this week, who plays West Ham away, then I would say Spurs captaining Son against Sheffield United at home is the way to go, and I would look to add this player on my wildcard as well. And then if you don't want to have two Spurs players, I would look to sell one of them in the near future with your free transfers in couple of games. And then I would add one more midfielder as well to this team. one more playing midfielder, so not a bench player. That midfielder would be uh, Raheem Sterling from Chelsea. So that would be my fifth choice in midfield. Now, I know Sterling did not get a return against Nottingham Forest. The whole Chelsea team didn't manage to score a goal. It was a blank for everyone. But Sterling was still good in that game. He was very close to a return, and if Chelsea did manage to get a goal or two, Sterling would have been uh, involved in the goal. He created two goal chances for Jackson, I believe, which he managed to miss. Also, he himself had a chance to score a goal, quite a good chance if I remember, and it was created by Ben Chilwell. So Sterling was, it could be said that he was unlucky not to get a return against Nottingham Forest, and I still think that he is a good player to have in our team for the future, mostly because of the position that he plays in. So he's super attacking at the moment. He has lots of freedom to do what he wants on the field, and most of Chelsea's dangerous attacks are going through him. So from his side, and that's what I would look to add him in the team. Then in the attack, we obviously need to add one attacker for the bench, because as you can see, I'm planning to uh, have 5 midfielders in this wildcard. So that bench attacker for me would be Archer from Sheffield United, or their new striker that they bought from Aston Villa. He seems to be the perfect bench player for a wildcard. On paper, he should be nailed. I expect him to continue starting games for Sheffield United, because he played quite well in the last game for them as well, so that's another positive. And for the time being, I think he's going to start games, so I would add him in the team, unless you have some uh, funds left at the end and want to get some more expensive player in this position, in which case I would suggest possibly going for a 5.5 million striker who, let me just find him, who has a double game coming up, and that striker is Morris from Luton Town. Now, I know we're not really looking at Luton Town players for our team, but this player has actually had, believe it or not, he has already gotten 2 returns in the, sorry about that. So this player has already gotten 2 returns in the first 3 game weeks. So as you can see here, Luton Town Morris, he got a return in game week 1 and game week 4 as well. He obviously had a blank in game week 2. So a nice run of fixtures for Luton, a very nice run of fixtures actually, plus they have a double game week in game week 7. So if you are looking to get a more expensive player for this bench position, I would suggest Morris, and then you can play him in game week 7 in your team if you want to. If not, Archer works as well. And then now in this Ollie Watkins position, I would look to add one more striker, and that striker would be one between Alexander Isaac or Darwin Núñez. So at the moment, I slightly prefer Alexander Isaac. That is the striker I would go for most likely in this wildcard. Reason being, Newcastle have had a hard start to the season. They have struggled a bit, I would say, but most of us did expect that, because they had hard schedule, but now that changes from GW5 and beyond. They have easy run of fixtures, and I expect Newcastle to turn their season around. I expect them to start getting more and more attacking returns, the whole team, and Alexander Isaac as well. I do think that he is their preferred striker. You always have the problem of possibly Callum Wilson coming in his place. But the thing about Callum Wilson is that he always tends to get injured at some point, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a knock in the next couple of games, and all of a sudden Alexander Isaac is Newcastle's only remaining striker. So I do think that this player is a good choice. It might be a slight risk, but I personally would be willing to take it. If you want to go a little safer, you could potentially look to add Darwin Núñez from Liverpool in this position. So now with his recent form, I think he has nailed his starting position for Liverpool. So you could look to add him instead of Isaac in this wildcard. He's another good option, but for me, I slightly prefer Isaac because he has higher potential to haul. Darwin Núñez, as you all know, he tends to get lots of chances, but at the same time he does tend to miss most of those chances, while Alexander Isaac could pop up with a 2 or 3 goals game and get some 15 or more points, and that's why I would go for him. And then Haaland would obviously be the last attacking player in this wildcard. Now we move to the defense. Udogie, a player I would get in the wildcard. Very attacking player for Spurs, very dangerous in the opponent's box. Plus Spurs look decent defensively as well. And when they play Arsenal away and when they have hard fixtures, you can easily bench him because you would have a playing bench in this wildcard as well. Ben Chilwell, another player I would keep at least short term. He has had so many positions to score a goal from at the start of the season because he is so attacking. Every single game I watch him, he almost gets into as many goal scoring opportunities as Nicholas Jackson for Chelsea, but so far it wasn't to be for him. He has had lots of misses, but I have to say I expect that to change at some point in the future. Not sure when, but I think it will. And looking at his fixtures, long term they are not that good, but I still think he is a good player to have in the next 4 game weeks. And then possibly I would look to move him on, and he is an easy downgrade to pretty much anyone, so I would keep him for the wildcard. Stupinian is a player that I would temporarily sell. So sell for the next couple of games that are a little bit hard for Breton to keep a clean sheet in. But after that, I would look to get him back in the team. Actually, downgrading Chilwell to Estupinian at some point would be a very nice move to do. But for this wildcard, I would remove him because Man United away and Aston Villa away are 2 fixtures in the next 3 in which I don't think Breton will manage to keep a clean sheet. And in his position, I would look to add a Newcastle defender, most likely. So Trippier would be the obvious choice. But for this draft, Trippier doesn't work there. I don't have enough funds for him. Actually, one player that I really like and I might even prefer over Trippier at the moment is Fabian Schär. So that's the player I would go for. Why? Because he's 1.5 million cheaper than Trippier. First, Second, he's actually, believe it or not, he's quite a goal threat. While Trippier tends to get more assists rather than goals. Fabian Schär last season did score a couple of goals, and he had a very high XG, so expected goals. He's very dangerous on all corner kicks and free kicks. Most of their corner kicks tend to go on his head, and he's a player that I do think at some point is gonna pop up with 15 points or 15 plus points haul, and I think he's a good pick to have if you can't afford Trippier and you're looking for a Newcastle defender. Also, Botman would be another good option, but he seems to be injured at the moment. We'll have to wait and see what happens with him. Then I would keep a Luton Town defender in my team, a 4 million Luton Town defender, because they have a nice run of fixtures, and they have a double game week in game week 7, but I would not get Kabore, who I have in my team at the moment, because I think last game week he got benched. I'm not sure why that happened, but he did. He didn't start for Luton Town last game week, and actually I would probably go for Bell most likely instead, a player that seems to be nailed at the moment, and he is also 4 million, so he could potentially be the better option to get. And then one more a defender I would add for the bench, but also a player that could very easily get into the starting 11 at any point, would be an Aston Villa defender. So Aston Villa have a nice fixture in game week 5, then game week 6 and 7 are hard fixtures for them, but then after that there is a sea of green, a lot of easy fixtures in which I expect Aston Villa to keep lots of clean sheets. So Matty Cash, a player that's very dangerous, very attacking, and a player that I think should be in your wildcard. And then we come to the goalkeeper spot. So for the 4 million or the cheaper goalkeeper, I wouldn't actually go with Turner. I would go with Areola from West Ham, who actually I think is not 4 million anymore. I think he is 4.1. Let me have a look. But still, even if he is 4.1, yeah, I do think he is the better option rather than Turner, because West Ham are the better defensive team. So I would look to add him, and then I would also get a 4.5 million goalkeeper that rotates nicely with Areola. So for me, that goalkeeper would be from the 4.5 million options, the one goalkeeper that I do think rotates nice with Areola is actually Bern Leno from Fulham. So he's the goalkeeper I would go for. Actually, he's 4.6 now. So interestingly enough, my draft is 0.1 million off, because I didn't realize Leno is 4.6. But still, he's the goalkeeper I would go for. He rotates nicely with Areola in the next couple of game weeks, and Fulham have a nice run of fixtures coming up. Plus, Leno tends to get loads of saves every game week. And then I would look to possibly downgrade either Schär to Botman if Botman is declared fit, or maybe Matty Cash to Pau Torres, for example, another Aston Villa defender who is slightly cheaper, or I would just remove Areola and add Turner to this draft to have the funds to get all of the other players. So yeah, this is my wildcard team. It's on the screen. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. Please tell me what players do you like, what players am I missing from this wildcard. And I have to say, I myself I'm very tempted to use it as well because this team on paper looks quite nice. So yeah, that's all that I have for today. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.